Hey, it's Aleksander Vitkin, and in this video I'm going to talk about the difference between making $50,000 a year and $500,000 a year. And I'm going to talk about if it's even worth it to do this, because people just assume that of course it's worth it. Of course you want to make more money, right? Well, the answer is not that simple. It's not as straightforward as, yeah, I just want to make more money, right? Well, with more money comes more responsibility and more issues in your business. And also, we're going to talk about how to actually get there. Like, what are some of the steps that one needs to take to get there? So back in the day when I got my business to 500K per year, why did I do this? So I had a business, obviously, that did under 100K in a year, which was one of my first businesses. And then eventually I grew that, and eventually I grew the next business. And eventually my current business grew to 50K and beyond. So why did I decide to go from 50K to 500K? So at a certain point, I noticed that when my business was growing very, very slowly, that people were getting better and better results. So I noticed that, sure, it's actually worth it to produce this. It's actually worth it to invest more of my time, because I could be doing anything, right? I can just run a different type of business. I can find new opportunities. I can get investors for whatever. I can go and just network. I can freelance if I want to. I can, God forbid, I can get a job, which obviously I will never have to do unless I want to. But basically, I found something that actually produces results, and there's demand, and there's an opportunity for growth, and it's a growing industry, and it's a relatively blue ocean, and there's lots of opportunity for improvement because most people are just messing up the industry. So I thought I could make the difference. I could do things differently than what is being done right now. So the reason I want to share this is to encourage more people to take their, who have a 50K per year business, to take their current 50K per year business and really think about what they actually want, and perhaps build a real business that's doing 500K per year or more. Because I believe it's worth it, and I believe it makes a change in the world. And the more entrepreneurs there are, the better the world becomes. And the more people we can help, the more our lives improve as well. And the better an entrepreneur is in his own life, the better an entrepreneur feels, the more positive change an entrepreneur can create in the world. So I believe it is worth it. But is it as simple as making more money? Actually, it isn't. It's way more complicated than that, because as I said before, making more money has advantages and disadvantages. So the advantages, of course, all the stuff that I mentioned about making a change in the world, but the disadvantage is very serious. The disadvantage is they did a study, and the study said that after 175K per year, actually happiness does not increase, right? So up until 175K, happiness increases, and after that it kind of stagnates, or it could even go down in some situations. In my experience, it kind of can go down as well. But here's the thing: if you want to make 175K in a business, you don't just make 175K in revenue. You need to make 175K times 5 in revenue if it's a service business. Because you don't want to be taking out all the money out of your business. You want to be taking out a very small percentage of your business, 10 to 20% if it's a very small service business. You want to be taking out as your salary, right? So you don't want to be taking out much more than that. So you actually need to make a lot more money than this to take 175K out of business. So if you're making 50K and you're not freelancing, and you have like employees, freelancers, and so on, and your profit margin is between 15 and 50% or something like that, then you need to start thinking about how much money do you really need to make, and so that after all the investments, you still can take 175K home if your goal is to keep improving your happiness, which it should be, by the way, because if you're not happy and if your life is not figured out, if you can't pay medical bills, you can't help out your parents, if you can't help out whatever, like family members, and you can't help out and make the world a better place, then you're not there yet. Like, keep improving, improving, and improving, right? But where is the limit? So the limit, and again, they calculated 175K, but the limit is nearly impossible to calculate. However, it kind of depends on your personal beliefs and where you want to be in life. Do you want to be someone with a huge amount of responsibility? Do you want to be someone who people look up to? Do you want to be someone who's on stage and has these magical star moments like Elon Musk, where he's launching a spaceship and the whole world is looking at it and it's amazing, it's like a new achievement for humanity? Or are you happy just sitting in an office somewhere and just doing 50K and just traveling a little bit sometimes, right? So those are two different people, and you don't have to be like Elon Musk. It's just that I believe more people should want to be like Elon Musk, because this is really hard to do, but the world needs people like that. So here's what happens if you don't do it. If you don't do it, you're just contributing to the large group of lazy people, basically. There's a very small percentage of the population that's producing the vast majority of the wealth. And I'm not talking about 1% or anything like that. I'm talking about the actual producers. It's more than 1%, but it's something like 10%, okay? So the 10% of people who produce the vast majority of the innovation, like the scientists, those types of people, entrepreneurs, of course, that's a very, very, very small percentage. And they're pulling up almost everyone, okay? So the bottom 90%, it's very brutal, very controversial topic, but you can look up data on this. The bottom 90%, they're kind of not pushing the envelope that much. Maybe it's because of lack of ambition, maybe it's lack of intelligence, maybe just lack of skill. Well, a lot of these things like ambition and skill, you can learn. You can learn to be ambitious. You can learn skills. And you can design your life where you're more ambitious, right? These are not impossible things to achieve. And many people, they're just happy here. They're just happy to have a little house with a little fence with like a dog and 1.7 children and so on. They're happy with that. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with this, but if you're watching this video, most likely you're not one of those people. Most likely you want to be among the 10%. So what does it actually take to get to the 10%? Well, the 10% and beyond, because obviously you want to be even closer to the 1% or among the 1% or among the 0.1%, but the 10%, these are people who are constantly learning. These are people, they're not consumers, they're producers, right? So what does constantly learning mean? It means they didn't just graduate college and say, I have this degree and this is my skill now and that's it. That's the end of learning. They keep learning. They keep investing in themselves. They keep doing things that are hard and put evolutionary pressure on them so that they keep evolving. So I have friends who invest hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in self-development and just their business and stuff like that, just to learn a new skill like sales at a very high level, or Google ads or Facebook ads at a very high level. They don't just settle for, I did this YouTube thing, or I did this whatever marketing thing, and I'm just going to keep it at that. No, marketing, sales, everything is constantly evolving, so they keep learning, right? And the fact that they're producers, not consumers, means they're not sitting somewhere at a ball game or TV and watching this thing unfold, the world unfold in front of them, and just consume content. They're producers. They get a buzz and they create a life where it's inevitable that they keep producing, keep creating, right? And this is very, very hard. You need to have a lot of emptiness in your life and emptiness in time so that your brain can function, so it can create. And it's a long, hard process to learn this skill. And it's a long, hard process to keep thinking and implementing like this because you need to balance out your life. So another thing I've noticed is a lot of them, they center their life around work, okay? But it is balanced work. So we should say not just W, but BW. So it's balanced work. What this means is they are structuring their life around work. So if they're in business, they structure their life around business. So their fitness supports business. Their relationships support business. These are separate entities, but they're in support of the business. So business comes first, or work comes first. And balanced means they're not neglecting the other parts of their lives. It's very, very important to do that, basically. And most people are not capable of that. Most people think you just need to hustle. You just need to work super hard, 12, 16 hours a day until you die. And on the one hand, I agree, and I've certainly done that a lot. But on the other hand, if you don't balance it, you can't really think creatively, or you can't think straight. You kind of go crazy a little bit. So you should be very careful with the balance. You don't want to end up in a hospital or die young, so you don't produce as much as you could have otherwise. And I'm not talking about a machine. Like, humans are not machines. We're just using these analogies to explain things better. What happened to me was I used to just watch TV all day. I grew up just watching TV back in the day, and it was just constant consumption, consumption, consumption. Then I played video games when I finally managed to scrape together some cash. I bought a computer and I started playing video games. And I spent just many years, I'm kind of embarrassed of telling you how many years, just consuming, and I never learned how to produce. To the point where I hit rock bottom. I basically was a nobody. I had no skills. I had almost no friends because I was just like sitting at home playing video games. I had no communication skills. I didn't know how to make friends. And I started kind of like, I had like a little itch, like maybe I should do something else with my life. So I tried getting some friends, and it was kind of hard because I didn't have any skills to do this. I was kind of awkward socially. People thought I was probably autistic or something like that. Well, since then, I've done tests, and I'm actually an extrovert, a natural extrovert. And when I started learning skills, all of these personality traits that are natural to me started coming out. And when I got mentors, they helped me. They said, what are you talking about? I don't see what you're seeing at all. What I'm seeing is someone who can become very successful. And they brought me up in the world. They taught me skills. And they said, you can be much more than you think you can be because you've been just watching TV and playing video games. You haven't been actually implementing or doing something interesting with your life. And then I slowly crawled out of that hole and became relatively successful to the point where others started asking me for advice, and I started teaching others as well, right? So anyone can do this. It doesn't mean you have to be some kind of teacher, coach, or anything like that, but anyone can crawl out of a hole. Anyone can learn new skills. If you're not in a hole, maybe you're just stuck in a job and you want to get out of it. Well, these skills are something that anyone can learn. So how do you get to 500K per year? So let's say you're at 50K per year. Let's say you're probably freelancing at this point, not percent. It's 50K dollars per year in revenue. So probably you're freelancing. Probably you have most of this is profit because you're probably running a service business. So how do you get to 500K? So the first step is to start taking yourself out of the processes. So you probably have a bunch of processes in this business where you're you do lead generation, then you do the sales call, then you do the onboarding, then you do delivery, which is broken up into like 17 other steps, right? So you start by outsourcing the lead generation, then you start outsourcing the delivery, and so on and so forth. The easiest first, and then harder stuff later on. And as you're outsourcing more and more, suddenly you have all this time to learn new skills and work on your business instead of in your business, right? So then suddenly you can develop new funnels, new strategies. You can hire better people, and you're able to, again, I wrote percent, you're able to grow an actual business, right? Because if you're just freelancing all day, you wake up and you do the work and you get paid for it and you go to bed, it's kind of like a job minus all the security. So it's better to start growing the business because this is an asset. This is not just you. If you become sick for a month, or God forbid you get hit by a bus, as they say, it's not a huge deal because you're not the only person in the company, so it's going to survive. So the thing you're working on is going to have some kind of future. It's not just like a temporary thing. So if you're interested in legacy, if you're interested in making a change in the world, then I highly recommend going for this and not settling at this. This is for people who want to just Tinder, make $5,000 and go to Asia a little bit. This is for people who want to make a change in the world. And trust me, if you're not doing this or beyond per year in revenue with about 40 to 60% profit margin, you don't even have a business. Like below this, it's not even a business. It sounds weird, but just think about it. There's taxes, there's expenses. Well, we talked about margins, so the expenses don't really matter. But there's investments you will have to make in the future. There's all kinds of stuff you're going to have to work on. So it is absolutely necessary to get to the 500K. The next recession that hits, or depression, if we're unlucky, they're going to kill any business that's very, very small. That's what usually happens. The small guys suffer most. In any industry, you will find that bigger businesses take over the whole industry really, really quickly. So if you don't grow, you will have to work for someone else or find a new industry to be a small guy in. So it sucks to be a baker down the street. It's not a good thing because anyone can really do that, right? But if you're in a big market and you're the guy who's growing the most and innovating the most, and you have the best systems and you deliver at the best price, and at the same time you have the most expensive programs as well, so you have the biggest audience, you have the biggest everything, and you're becoming like the Walmart of the industry, guess what? All the little guys just get destroyed. And that's perfectly fine. That's the natural order of things. So you want to be growing, because if you're not growing, someone else is, and eventually they're going to crush you. Eventually you're going to have to exit the business and do something else. So it's the answer is basically there's no choice. You have to keep growing. This is not a matter of choice. This is a matter of survival. And the upside, of course, you make a lot more money. Of course, you have a lot more impact. Of course, you can make a positive change in the world more than the guys that settle for 50K that are going to have to work for you eventually. So that's pretty much it for this live stream. I hope that was valuable for you. If you have any questions, do reach out to me, comment below. If you'd like more free videos about marketing, sales, and entrepreneurship, please subscribe, follow, and I'll see you in the next video.